What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Culture Wave Media Network, and we are back to discuss a little bit of some news tidbits and some updates on a movie that pretty much everybody here at the network is really excited for and have been anticipating for quite a while now. I'm pretty sure the first film came out in like 2021 or 2022 for the Batman. We're finally getting some updates on the Batman Part 2. I'm Darian Zach. I'm joined here by Zach Miller.
How's it going, man?
Who I'm pretty positive, if I'm not incorrect, has a Batman tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
There it is. There it is. So he's a huge Batman fan. There's a lot of other people, like I said, on the network that are huge Batman fans. But as I said, this movie's been anticipated for quite a while now because the first movie was very different in terms of tone and in terms of seeing things in the comic book genre. And really, Matt Reeves took it in a direction that a lot of people were excited by. And we haven't seen something from Reeves since then. The movie kept getting pushed back. And we know the movie is going to officially begin filming this April in the UK. So that is confirmed. 2 major new cast members have joined the cast. Some MCU staples hopping over to DC. We have Scarlett Johansson, whose character is still yet to be revealed, but it's being highly speculated by a lot of other people that the other new cast member is Sebastian Stan, who is going to play Harvey Dent in this new version of the Batman, the sequel to the first movie. It would be the first time we've seen Harvey Dent live action. Obviously, Aaron Eckhart famously played Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, in Nolan's The Dark Knight. And Mattson Tomlin, who's one of the co-writers of the film alongside Reeves, had this to say recently about what they're trying to do with the story, and this is where I'm going to pitch to Zach after this, but this is the quote he said on X. He said, "We worked exceptionally hard to tell a story worthy of the character, something that feels new and dangerous. The bar couldn't be higher. Looking forward to people seeing it and being able to talk about it at length. Can't begin to describe what this film means to me. We did our actual literal pushed beyond the limit best." So it's a movie, as I said, that has been a lot of people are waiting on it. A lot of people are speculating on what could happen going forward. Zach, where are you at in terms of your anticipation for this movie? And are you more excited or are you starting to get a little bit nervous just because of how much time has passed and maybe this direction that we're going in? We still don't really have a real sense of the story, but we do know from a lot of kind of insider things that, like I said, Harvey Dent is supposed to be in the film played by Sebastian Stan, and apparently his father has a big role in this movie. And it was offered to recent Oscar nominee Stellan Skarsgard, who turned it down. So there is a role for an elderly actor, an elder statesman, someone who's probably in their mid-70s and higher, maybe early 70s, that are going to be cast in this movie as well. So a couple people that we could kind of fan cast and speculate on that. But knowing all that information and hearing the quote, where are you at with the Batman Part 2?
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking forward to more of this universe since the first movie. I think that this has been the best adaptation of Gotham that I've seen on screen. I played all the video games, the Arkham City video games. There's just a lot of what worked for those games was the atmosphere that they created for Batman. And I think there's a lot of comic books that have come out over the years that really capture the essence of Batman and the side of Gotham that we have seen. But I think that's where a lot of fans I've noticed have departed from Nolan's Batmans a little bit, is that they are looking at the realism, or they get a little lost in that they can see streets in Chicago or if it's New York, and they get taken out of it a little bit. And I mean, Nolan's franchise of Batman is timeless. It's going to be something that is studied for years to come. But I think when it comes down to the characters and the atmosphere of Batman, the movie was the best version to capture that in the city and Bruce Wayne, in my opinion. So I think it's really a testament to, like, people always ask how many more Batman movies can they do? How many more Superman movies can they do? I think Batman hasn't hit every nerve yet, with what brings the character on. And there's a litany of great villains and Batman has probably the best villains out of so many comic book heroes. So, I mean, Two-Face, I thought that he was a little underused in The Dark Knight, as much as I love that movie. But that was the Joker's movie, so I can understand that. But I think if we get a true Two-Face adaptation and a version from Sebastian Stan, who I think is a great pick, he can really dive into that range of playing the hero attorney, and that is going after all of the crime in the city in the White Knight way. And then, you know, he gets corrupted by his accident and then by the other corruption that goes on in the department. So there's so much of Two-Face that is complex that I really hope that they can get the most out of. Scarlett Johansson too is a big interest for me. You were telling me a little bit that she's being rumored to be Vicky Vale or Poison Ivy. I think those are like the two front running theories online, and I hope that they don't get into her character too much in like press releases or anything before the movie. I would honestly like to see a lot of the ensemble kept under wraps until we get to the actual release, but I'm feeling optimistic about it. You did mention the production delays. That did concern me a little bit. Anytime you hear that a script is getting rewritten or rescheduled and people are changing, the creative heads changed over a lot. You know, there's a lot of department heads that have departed the project because they had other commitments and that kind of thing. So that's definitely something that perplexed me. I believe even Greg Fraser, the cinematographer, is out now.
Yeah, I think he's doing Dune, right?
I think he's doing,
or he's doing something else.
He was doing something else because he was going to do Dune, and then something else came up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he was like the cornerstone piece for the visual look of the first movie, and to me, that was like my favorite part of the movie. So I think that, you know, as long as they can create a very similar aesthetic to the first movie and they can elaborate on the story and get deeper and deeper into Gotham, and then building off of the Penguin series,
yeah,
that's something that I was always excited about, and they got into more of that in the Penguin series.
So that was the one thing I was gonna say. I do think that regardless, like, it's not like we haven't been in this world, the Gotham. As it's being coined by Matt Reeves, the Gotham epic crime saga is how he's kind of coining it. So we have that as a bridge getting us from the Batman to the Batman Part 2, where we're seeing Colin Farrell's Oz Cobb kind of going through, establishing himself as this new mafioso and the head of the mob in Gotham. He is returning for this movie. That's been confirmed. He's talked about the script. He said it's a brilliant movie. He said it's a brilliant script, I should say. But the big thing with him is that he said that his role is limited in this, which also makes you think that, you know, and I think this is a good thing. Reeves has talked about doing this as a trilogy and having these other stories that he'd like to EP and things like that. He clearly has a vision and a through line with where he wants to go with this. But he's already established all these different characters now. Like, we have, even though it was in a deleted scene, we know that there's a Joker that exists in this world, and it's played by Barry Keoghan, and he's been rumored to maybe be in this movie as well. So you have his character, you have a Harvey Dent, you have the Penguin returning. Then there's also, again, this whole, where I think it's going to be interesting where they go with this is that the first movie is very like mystery oriented and there is action beats in it, but this movie I feel like is going to have the vibe of like a conspiracy thriller or like a political thriller. And I think that Scarlett Johansson's actually the only one that I have a little bit of hesitancy with, but based on what I'm hearing, so the Poison Ivy thing originally was what I heard, which was months ago when she was first cast, and that's pretty much been debunked. They're like, she's not playing Poison Ivy, which again, maybe that's kind of throw the stink off everybody else. But I hope that she plays a character that is a little bit more low key, and one that maybe not all Batman fans necessarily know. Yeah, where I know that Reeves has talked about he's pulling a lot from the animated series for his films because he's a massive fan of it. And where I'm excited with Sebastian Stan's character, though, is that he has, throughout his career, you've seen that he has the charm of someone like a Bucky Barnes, where he can kind of be that boy. He has the boyish good looks. He's kind of the good-looking kid going to war, and he has that kind of battle-tested energy to him at the same time. But he was nominated for an Academy Award for playing Donald Trump, who is a corrupt businessman who became a politician. So he has experiences where you can understand why he would be the perfect choice for Harvey in the modern sense. Because for me, when I heard that he was cast, even though I'm like, well, we've seen them do Two-Face already. We saw, like, I already brought up Eckhart, but people sometimes forget Tommy Lee Jones, also a very different kind of Batman film with Joel Schumacher's version. But this is going to be something that I think is going to be interesting to see where they go. And the fact that they're implementing this father character, that they're looking at people such as Skarsgård, who, you know, he just came off of doing Andor as well, obviously Sentimental Value too, but Andor, it's like he brought this gravitas to Star Wars that there hasn't been in a really, really long time. So the fact that they're going after types like that has me excited. I think they have to nail that chemistry and the dynamic between father and son and how that kind of goes forward. There was one, the one insider, Jeff Snyder, who reported that Skarsgård passed on it, had brought up a choice that I thought would be very interesting. Another person that's been in the MCU, but at this point who hasn't. Kurt Russell, I feel like would be a really interesting choice as somebody who can kind of, he shows that he could do something a little bit more restrained. You know, like he's getting older. He's not obviously doing these mega franchises anymore, but getting to see him kind of play this Wall Street type. Because again, like Michael Douglas he did Wall Street. He would be a good choice too, but Douglas is retired from acting. And so you have to get somebody in that right wheelhouse. Pierce Brosnan is another choice that I think could be really interesting. Who is another one that was brought up recently? Sam Neill would be another great choice. Like actors that you want to kind of see where they could play with Reeves' scripts, because what he did in the first Batman movie is that it felt like you talked about it was very gritty. It's not like the Dark Knight franchise, though it does feel like it's grounded. It's still shiny in some ways, you know, like there's still that kind of Hollywoodized aspect. It's a big movie.
Like
it's
an action
grand.
movie.
Yes. And Reeves's movies, even though you have like some great action sequences in the Batman, it feels so real. It feels like you're just kind of embarking on, and at the same time, Pattinson's version of Bruce Wayne and Batman is fresh. You know what I mean? He's new to the job. So that's another thing that I'm curious your thoughts on where they could go with the story, but also now we're getting a different version of Batman where I don't know if we've been given information on the time jump or anything like that, but he's going to have some time on the job now. And I wonder if we're going to start to kind of see Playboy Bruce Wayne come out with Pattinson, or if it's still going to be something in which he's kind of still leaning into this more brooding kind of
grungy.
Yeah, is a lot of people say, like moody or grungy version of Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I mean, if we're still seeing Fight Club Bruce Wayne, I think that's pretty dope. But I really like the direction that they went in with the feeling of Bruce Wayne. And I mean, some people were a little upset that he was a little bit like emo, quote unquote. But I think he's also still growing up with a young boy's mind, and his big traumatic event of his life is his parents dying, and then he's trying to process where to place his grief. And that's the whole arc for him in the first movie, is that he can't just be vengeance and revenge. It has to be hope mixed in by the end too. He sees that he can also be a symbol of hope and not just fear. So that's another big through line for all of the Batman series is just that, you know, he puts fear into his enemies, but he has to be hopeful for Gotham to get better, and that he has to be the symbol that things can improve. So I loved what they did with that in The Dark Knight too, with how Harvey Dent was that in a very real sense, and they were tired of Batman being a vigilante, and then those script flips and Harvey gets messed up. So I want to see more of that. Like we were talking about with the aesthetic of the city, you're really seeing how Gotham is so corrupt and how it's on such a dive. With the first movie, another older actor that was really good was John Turturro, who was the older Falcone and Carmine Falcone. And the balance that they had to do with that ensemble, because you had Oz Cobb, you had him in the movie, and everybody wanted more at that point because he was so good. But I think what you were saying too as well about how they're going to balance the rest of it. I'm okay with Oz being in the background a little bit because he's had his moment for now. Great character, great performance. But, you know, when it comes to Batman stuff too, it could even get mishandled, kind of like the new Spider-Man movie a little bit, or like that series. They're like, you know, they're talking so much about the Avengers, like how come this person isn't around to help out Spider-Man? Or like, in this case, it could be, oh, well, this villain just broke out of jail. Like, where is this guy? You know, like, so they want to balance it correctly, put certain people in prison. The Riddler is in prison. Joker is currently in Arkham too. So I think it's going to be about these new emerging people, when it comes to the the villains, it seems like they're keeping it with the realistic villains. You're not gonna see like Killer Croc, I don't think. I don't think you're gonna see. You might see Bane at some point.
Yeah.
Like they changed that with The Dark Knight Rises, but you know, a lot of these guys that have the superpowers in a way, you know, like Poison Ivy, if they're throwing that out, I would be okay with that too, because you know there is a little bit of a supernatural side to some of the characters. Like Mr. Freeze can get campy, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I hope that they keep it to like villains like Victor Zsasz, who's a serial killer, Calendar Man, this guy Hush, who is a killer, and he disguises himself as Bruce Wayne, and then everyone thinks Bruce Wayne is causing chaos, and like that would be a good storyline. We've talked about the Court of Owls a little bit.
I was actually just going to bring that up. So
yeah.
I think what I hope for, and I know nothing about the story, but I know that again, and kind of just my thought process, my hope, and my prediction on that, I think this could be a conspiracy kind of thriller, like almost kind of like a grounded horror movie. I think that it would be great to see a different side with Harvey Dent, where we're not seeing the hero side of Harvey, where Aaron Eckhart's version of the character kind of starts out, and then he has this accident that makes him have this deformity that causes him to kind of lose his mind. What I hope is that we wind up seeing that maybe Harvey is somebody that Bruce believes that he can trust, but at the same time, he's kind of being almost puppeteered by the Court of Owls in a sense. Yeah. And I don't want to see, if they go the Two-Face route with Harvey, I want it to be at the end of the movie that takes us into the third movie, because I think that it's much scarier to have and especially in the world we live in now, with like the Court of Owls again is this band of kind of wealthy, powerful elites, which is very timely. By the time we're recording this, but I'm saying I think it would actually manifest itself into a really interesting story, and having Harvey be the face of that, and then you could have the lineage with his father, and maybe if Scarlett is related in some way, shape, or form, like that could be interesting. So I'd rather see them go that route and then lead us into the third movie to where now the deck is kind of stacked against Bruce in a really hard way, because maybe he doesn't win in the second movie, you know, like it would, like maybe it leaves you on that note where you're like, what is Bruce going to do at this point? Like there's so much more to go with it. And it's part of the reason why I think it would lend itself well to this third story. If you're going to still have Oz in the background, you're hopefully going to make the Joker, since you already established that he's going to exist within this world, he might not come into play until the third movie of a trilogy, because I'd rather see that and maybe get one or two scenes with Barry in this movie just to reestablish that he's there. Yeah. But I want this to be a movie that kind of deals with, again, a different kind of villain that we've seen in Batman movies, because we have unfortunately seen, like, we've seen multiple Jokers now. We've, like I said, we've gotten multiple Two-Faces at this point. We've gotten multiple Banes even too. I think there was a Bane in one of the Schumacher movies.
in Batman and Robin.
Again, can't be terrible Batman movie, but still, like, you're getting these characters kind of overlapping. So I'm curious to see where they go. I'm interested. I'm excited that we're finally getting some actual news about this movie, and we're ramping up to a production start. Right. So
I was also going to add too, going off of what you said about Joker in the third movie, I would love like the Joker to be his last like final thing that he has to confront, you know, in the trilogy, if they want to make it very consistent. But because even in the Dark Knight trilogy, the villains like Ra's al Ghul, Joker, and Bane all break Batman in different ways, and they all give him new trials and stuff. So I think that was nice and cohesive with what Nolan was even establishing. A lot of superhero movies had not really done that at that point. The MCU was just starting, so they were beginning there, but they were different heroes. So it was all coming together into one thing. But you had one hero with one arc over 3 movies, and that wasn't done that much. Even the Superman movies, the originals, were a little bit episodic in a way of like new villain, new point in time, and he was kind of the same guy for a lot of that. So, or new arc per movie. So I think if the Joker was like the last guy, you know, even part 2 ends with like they open the Arkham Asylum door and Joker walks out and it's just like the whole city's on fire. That would be some crazy mic drop. So I would love that. Another thing that I forgot, I don't know if we mentioned, but Kristen Milotti is not going to return in this movie, which I thought was important. Not that we won't see her again, but and then Zoe Kravitz is also not expected to return. Is not
going to be back in it. Yeah, I do think that. I think that we're going to get a post-credit scene with Kristen.
That would be great.
I think because I don't think she needs to be in this movie whatsoever.
No.
But I do think that we have to get back to that point of like, she's obviously pissed at Oz and getting into this third movie, which again, as a Robin lover, I'm praying that we get a Robin in the third movie. I don't need Robin in the second movie. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But we need to get there. We can't do this whole Joseph Gordon-Levitt is maybe Robin. He's not Robin. We're never getting a follow-up. We're never going to see him in the costume. Like, I would love to see, again, if we get to this point where, because initially they were going to do that whole Arkham or the Gotham PD show that then they kind of were reworked into an Arkham show, and now they're just kind of in development hell. There's no update on them. It would be interesting, like you said, to kind of end this third movie in chaos where, I mean, you're having the Joker, he's already communicating with the Riddler. You kind of hear it at the end of the first movie, and at some point someone is going to have to account for whatever is going on in Gotham in this movie in some way, shape, or form. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe Oz winds up in Arkham, and that's how he winds up getting kind of sidelined for a lot of this movie, and then he winds up getting broken out at the end. I don't know. We'll see.
I have one more question for you. So, if you had to pick a Robin, like a character, which Robin would it be?
My favorite comic book character of all time is Nightwing. So
Dick Grayson.
I would like to see Dick Grayson. The other thing is that, I mean, I love Jason Todd. Mm-hmm. And I think also just seeing Jason Todd as Red Hood would also be cool. But again, it's like now we're trying to do too much and not enough time.
Sure. Yeah.
But Dick Grayson is definitely my favorite Robin. Nightwing is my favorite iteration of Dick Grayson and that character. And they're going to do Robin, at least the way that James Gunn has explained it now, is he's one of the heads of DC Studios with Peter Safran. The other Batman movie that is not adjacent to what they're doing in this universe is going to be Damian Wayne. So that's an entirely different Robin that they're going to explore. So I don't know, man. I'm pumped though. We're excited. We're big Batman fans here. I know everybody at the network. I feel like we might have to have 7 people in studio to do that one because I don't think anyone's going to be off that review.
There's probably going to be so much in that movie. We might need 7 people.
We might need 7 people. You're right. But let us know in the comments. What are your thoughts on the Batman Part 2? All the stuff we've heard about so far, the rumors. What are your theories? We'd love to hear that. We love kind of crafting up these kind of predictions and theories for these movies. Batman Part 2 is releasing in October of 2027. So we still have plenty of time to talk about this movie, plenty of time to speculate. I'm sure we'll talk about it more on the channel. And if you guys want to see other stuff on the channel that we do other stuff in the comic book genre, but we also have reviews for other films and TV series on the channel as well. And you guys can follow us on social media. All that stuff is below me in the video. It's also in our YouTube description. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So please hit that subscribe button. You'd really be helping us out. Just signing off. I'm Darian Scalmoni.
I'm Zach Miller.
And we'll see you guys next time.
This is The Culture.